No matter who you are, no matter what you did, no matter where you've come from, you can always change, become a better version of yourself. The Gifts of Perfection, Let Go of Who You Think You're Supposed to Be and Embrace Who You Are by Brené Brown talks about how the you that you want to be is achievable. This book relates to self-concept and the open self. Self-concept is evident through the book. The author talks of the images others have of you and tells the stories of comparisons against her peers. The open self concept is shown when she talks about what characteristics are known to her and what characteristics are known to others about her. It is a very honest and raw concept. First, the perception of self is described through self-concept, social comparisons, and the open and hidden self. My next point is listening. Listening can be empathetic, objective, and non-judgmental. My third and final point is relationship types. There are family relationships, friendships, and emotional relationships. Everyone has a certain perception of themselves, as well as others also. Perception of self and others have a lot to do with self-concept, which is others' images of you. Brené speaks of a situation where she talked to a group of parents at a program, and they were very unreceptive. They had crossed arms, they were rolling their eyes, and they didn't seem like they wanted to be there. How she automatically reacted to this was to try to talk herself up, and this ended up making her sound like a know-it-all, which didn't make the audience any more receptive. Brené was so worried about what the audience thought of her that she tried to talk herself up or change the image of her. She ended up making it worse by sounding like a know-it-all. Social comparisons are also very evident throughout this book. Another example Brené gives is at her child's school program, a mother came very late and missed the whole program. She came in all disheveled with tears in her eyes. This mother experienced social comparisons from another mother when this other mother went up to her, rolled her eyes, and looked at her in disgust for missing the program. There's also examples of open and hidden self. The open self is shown when Brené had her experience talking to the parents at the program. When she was finished, she called her sister and told her about the whole experience and that she was very upset. This was the open self because it was known to Brené how her characteristics were, but it was also known to her sister about her faults. The hidden self was shown because previously to this book being written, Brené would never go to her sister with any of her faults. She would always come off as the strong one and would always give help and never receive. So she was always having the hidden self, where even if she messed up, she hid it from her sister because she didn't want her sister to know. But in reality, she felt very bad on the inside. There are many different types of perceptions, and this comes along with the different ways of how you listen. There's empathetic listening. This was also shown by the previous example. When Brené called her sister, she was the best person to call because she was the correct listener. Ashley, her sister, was deeply rooted. She was able to bend and embrace the strength and struggles. She tapped into her own struggles so that she could genuinely connect with Brené's experience and make her not feel so alone. Also, this showed the objective self. When Ashley didn't try to fix Brené's situation, she just listened and had the courage to share her own vulnerabilities. And in doing that, she was also a very non-judgmental listener. She wasn't uprooted or thrown into a storm created by the experience. She was not rigid and did not go to any snap judgments or blame. Listening is a very important skill, and it can have a big impact on the different relationship types that you have. There are different relationship types shown in this book, such as a caregiver. In the previous example, Brenna would have never talked to her sister about when she messed up at the school program because she was too uptight and too deep-rooted in the older sister role. Brenna also experienced and showed the monopoly pattern. This was seen as the very authoritative figure, that she would lecture rather than communicate. Primary emotions are also prevalent in this book. When Brené was doing her research for this book, she was profoundly changed by the relationship between gratitude and joy. She found that joyful people practice gratitude and attributed their joyfulness to their gratitude practices. But Brené also found that you were never just joyful all the time, or you were never just sad all the time. There was a mix of blended emotions. You were happy, you were sad, you were angry, you were frustrated. It was always a blend of emotions. That all experiences come and go. Emotions are attached to the external situations that you have, and those also come and go as well. Another relationship is friendships. The involvement stage. This friend is all about making it better, refuses to acknowledge that you could ever even mess up. These friends just say that you're exaggerating, that it can't be that bad, that you're perfect. But you need to receive reciprocity. This friend has an imbalance, giving and receiving. They don't do it 50-50. They are always trying to one-up you. They don't try to really listen. They discredit your feelings. The different relationships are what forms your life, and there is always something that can be worked on and improved. What I need to improve on in my life are emotional messages. Emotional competence is one. I integrated this in my life by trying to be aware of my feelings and how they affected others. As I was doing something such as speaking with my parents, I would have to think about my feelings and how my words and actions were affecting them. And I had a good degree of success with this. It helped me realize that I had to listen to their feelings as well as my own to get the points across. Also, another area I had to improve on was emotional responding. I used this to look at nonverbal cues. Maybe if somebody was saying one thing and they were exhibiting the other with their body language, I would talk about what they were exhibiting with their body language rather than what they were just saying, because people have a hard time saying how they feel sometimes. Also, grieving communication. I had to avoid focusing on the bright side. I implemented this by not just saying, look on the bright side, this will get better. Well, look at it this way. The grass is always greener. There's a silver lining. I had to back away from those statements to really listen to what somebody was telling me. Also, I had to encourage the person to talk about their feelings, their true feelings, not just what is superficial or what they think that they can share with somebody else, what they are truly feeling so that they can get it off their chest and feel better. And my last area to improve was criticizing and praise. When I criticized, it had to be constructive, to focus on the event and behavior instead of the person, to talk about just the event so the person did not feel attacked. And with my praising, I used very positive language, not general. I specifically talked about the event that I was praising, the person or the action that I was praising, and did not have general statements just floating around there. In conclusion, interpersonal communication is in everyone's life every single day. It is how we connect with people. It is how we interact with people. There's always a way to change into a better version of yourself. The perception of self, listening, and relationship types are the backbone of everyone's communicational life. It is a fundamental connection to others. Perception of self is reflected through others' images of you. Social comparisons and different ways of portraying yourself, for example, the open self and the hidden self. Listening is also a reflection of yourself. How you listen can affect the way your relationships are formed. Empathetic listening, objective listening, and non-judgmental listening are a few of the many types of listening. These listening skills come into play in your many different relationships, such as family, friends, and emotional relationships. When you clearly see your flaws, you can clearly pick a path to fixing them. Can you be a strong enough person to look deeply inside yourself?